What happened when you saw someone pick on the wrong person? During high school, the wrestling team and football team shared the weight room where you work out. Some of the football players started picking on the soon to be state champion's younger brother. We found out that day that football players, while strong, can't get out of wrestling holds that make you a human pretzel. Saw a little person body slam someone who was about a foot taller than him in two for picking on him in high school. Watched a guy at a bar pick a fight with a buddy of mine. My buddy is pretty chubby and honestly soft spoken until he gets a few drinks, but wouldn't say much to offend anyone. So the fight began and nobody told the other guy that my buddy has been teaching taekwondo for years. The fight was over very fast. Back in 2019, my family and I decided to go on a road trip up the East Coast. One night, we decided to stop in Fort Bragg, NC. While there, we elected to head to this small bar to get some dinner before calling it a night. Upon arriving, I noticed there's this one really loud dude who's trying to flirt with every single girl that walked into the bar. Anyways, there's this one lady that is really bugging, and you can visibly tell that she's uncomfortable, but he's not stopping. That lady then decides to go sit down next to this really quiet bunch of dudes in the corner. Upon noticing the company these men were giving her, he walks up to them and starts losing it. He yells a ton of obscenities and tries to show off the fact that he was a ranger or something, but these dudes just ignore him. Eventually, he gives up and just grabs the girl's arm. At that exact moment, one of the men stands up, grabs that dude's arm, flips him like a ragdoll onto the ground, and pins his arm to the ground. They have a quick chat about niceties before letting him go, and that dude is promptly ushered out of the restaurant. Later found out they were special forces of some type. A buddy of mine got a job at a steel mill. After graduating with a degree in chemical engineering, the job wasn't related to his degree. While working there, he made a friend, a guy named Lau, whose job it was to stand on a platform over a vessel of molten steel and use a long heavy rod to bash through the cooling steel crust on the top. Please forgive my terminology, I don't know the trade. Lau was an unassuming man, about 5 feet 8, bald and not particularly imposing, but he was crazy strong and tough because of the job, among other things. One night, they went for a beer after work and were standing at the bar drinking and chatting. Some drunk asshole bumps into Lau and gets aggressive. This guy throws a punch and connects on the side of Lau's head. Without setting down his beer, Lau grabs him by the front of his shirt with one hand, lifts him off the floor, and seats him on the bar. Lau lets him go and quietly says, "I'm going to give you a chance to reconsider." The guy sobers up really fast and says, "Thank you. Please accept my apology." Lau let him get down off the bar, at which point he turned around to the barkeeper, paid his tab, Lau's, and my buddies, then quietly left, still looking shaken. Big guy bashes Andrew out the front of hotel. Big guy is big, 6 feet 5 door frame size. Fight goes how you would expect. Andrew, whilst in gutter, calls his brother Michael, who is inside hotel, while big guy continues his verbal abuse and asks who's next. Turns out, Michael's next, and punches big guy at least 10 times with the cleanest boxing I have ever seen. I was a bouncer for over 10 years. Still shocks me when I think about it. I was at a Machine Gun Kelly concert a few weeks ago in general admission. We made friends with some people next to us, a dad who took his 14-year-old daughter and her friend to the show. He was a really nice guy and his daughter was so excited to be at her first ever concert. 2 minutes after the show starts, a fight breaks out right next to us. We quickly realize it's the dad we met, fighting some late 20s Chad looking guy. It lasted only a couple of minutes. We watched as Chad ripped the dad's shirt in half off of him, only for the dad to then clock him so hard in the face that he fell to the ground and scurried away. We later found out from our new friend that the Chad guy had come up to his daughter from the crowd and started touching her inappropriately. He finished out the concert with his daughter shirtless. It was awesome, lol. So this happened in 2008-09. Can't remember the exact year, This was Fort Hood's first combatives tournament, and we had a lot of guys from our HHC headquarters and headquarters company, basically a non-combat unit that handles paperwork and other issues, sign up, with our cockiest guy being one of them. To be fair, the guy was incredibly gifted athletically and claimed to have high honors in college football. Some guys from our unit checked his claim and found his name listed, but no picture to verify that it was actually him. Anyway, this guy likes to run his mouth about how he was the most athletic guy in our unit, would randomly flex for anyone walking by when he was in his civvy clothes, but most importantly was overall an ass to anyone he assumed he was better than. Anyway, enough background. The tournament was announced, and our unit wanted its own team, and all soldiers signed up for it were allowed to just train instead of doing their normal duties. So what did this guy do? He skipped training every day, instead opting to either play video games all day or work out at the gym. Probably the dumbest thing you can do in this situation. His leadership even made excuses for his absences, claiming he didn't need the training. To give you an idea of what he was walking into, army combatives isn't just punching and kicking. A lot of the most basic moves we train with were ripped straight from Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Sure, a lot of guys who have experience with Greco-Roman can walk right in and have some success, but a football player whose only skill is sucker punching and trash talking ain't gonna have much luck. Anyway, fight day comes, and the uniform for the tournament is mostly sterilized takus. Standard army uniform with velcro patches removed. This fool showed up wearing sweatpants and a sports jersey, while everyone else on the team wore the correct uniform. Dude actually had the audacity to argue with guys running the show, the actual fight school sergeants and officers, and his direct leadership made him go change. His leadership managed to get him a second chance for the tournament, and he did return with his Akus. The guy gets called for his first match and saw his opponent wasn't as big as he was, and immediately began the trash talking. The dude didn't let up, but his opponent was super zoned out. They finally get called to the mat, and after the bell is rung they're locked up. Dude tried for probably a good 10 seconds to muscle the guy to the ground and got really winded, which allowed the other dude to pull him to the ground and got him to tap to Kimura lock. Dude got super pissed and left. Didn't even bother to try for the losers bracket. Meanwhile, his GF, who actually went to all of the training sessions, managed to get like 4th place in her brackets. She rode that high for months. 6th grade. Bully decides to pick on the class nerd one more time by pushing his books from his desk to the floor. Class nerd grabs a pencil and stabs him directly in the shoulder. The look on the bully's face was pure confusion as the pencil protruded from his shoulder. The nerd was suspended and missed a big overnight trip for our gifted kids class, but I like to think he never regretted it. The local sheriff's grandson was a bully and would hide behind his grandpa's name. One day during lunch period in high school, he decided to steal a couple books from a nerdy looking kid I didn't know. Kid immediately saw through it and demanded his stuff back. Bully said he'd have the kid arrested on false accusation charges. Kid grabs a fork from someone's lunch tray and drives it into the bully's leg. Bully screams and lurches out of the chair, dropping the books from under his loose-fitting shirt as he does so. Kid picks up his stuff and goes back to eating like nothing happened. This is Persons. Me and a friend would walk home from middle school. I was in 8th grade and he was in 7th. There was a 9th grader that walked the same route. He was 5 inches taller and 30 pounds bigger than me. He would pick on us all the time, throw us down, punch, spit, sometimes him and sometimes me. So we made a pact. If he starts in on one of us, we both take him. So a couple days later he puts my friend in a headlock. So I put him in one and managed to pull him down. As he started to overpower me, my friend kicked him in the head. I choked him, while my friend just kept kicking him with hiking boots. Beat the living shit out of him. Blood from his mouth and nose. Gravel burn on his face. 4 months of hate came out all at once. Never duck with us again. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.